You need to get one of those little like baby Bjorns, but for cats, so that you can wear
cats!
them while you're
Yes!
running games.
That would
Sid
be
would
so
hate
bad.
it. Sid
Yeah.
would just dead weight, like
A little
acting like you were
straitjacket for
slowly
cats.
murdering him.
He'd just scream.
No,
And
he'd
then-
just look devastated and twist and dead weight until either he choked or you freed him. He's not smart. He's really not. Orange male cats, just nothing's going on up there.
No.
And this is the
Dang,
reason
bro.
cats are not allowed in our streaming room.
Aw.
Nancy would eat everything that fit in her mouth.
Mhm.
She's an idiot. We love her.
But we love her.
I relate
There's
to
a
her
theme.
so much.
Just like me, for real.
Just like me for
Forbidden
real.
snacks.
I saw a bolt on the ground and I swallowed it whole earlier today.
She tried to eat a seashell. It's like, you will die. No, okay. I'm just gonna take that away.
I like how we're
Honestly,
just gonna
taste the ocean.
Experimental queen. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh shit, we're on.
Culinary queen.
Oh yeah, we've been on.
I didn't notice. Oops.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
incredible.
Cattails.
This is the energy we're bringing into tonight. So this is going to be a time. Oh, right. I should do an introduction to Live from the Apocalypse. Sure. If I remember words. I am sorry. I'm a little delirious tonight, but it's all good. Yes, we are Live from the Apocalypse. This is a season of secrets and shadows. I am mixing up the order of where I want to go here, but that is fine. This is our Regency Monsterhearts game. And in just a couple of minutes, I will let this amazing cast, one of whom is with us for the first time, get to introduce themselves and also introduce you to their character. Before that, though, like I said, we are Live from the Apocalypse. We are a not-for-profit TTRPG studio that supports aid organizations and progressive causes. We are currently raising money for the First Nations Development Institute, so at any point during the stream, you can hit !donate and pull up the link to us donate. We ask that you do that rather than giving us subs or bits or anything else that you would usually do on Twitch, because we do not want to give Father Bezos any more money than he is already getting. So avoid that if at all possible. If you donate, the McElroy brothers will scream at us. You will probably interrupt some very angsty and or hot and steamy moment. That will throw all of us off. We will have to recollect ourselves and get back into character to continue the scene. It'll be fun. On the other hand, you have the choice. It is an unfortunate choice, but you do have the choice to subscribe, especially if you're subbing through an Amazon Prime membership. However, if you do that, something tragic will happen. Beloved GM Brennan Lee Mulligan will kill a dog for every month that you have been subscribed. RIP to all of the dogs that have been lost so far in this slaughter. So decide, can you live with yourself? Would you like to donate to a good organization? Would you like to murder some puppies? Your choice. That's where I'm at tonight. So I think without further ado, Will, let's start to let everyone introduce themselves.
Roll the clip.
Okay. We going in order?
Yeah, let's start with Steph.
Hello, I'm Stephanie. I am playing Rhiannon tonight from The Witch Playbook. You can usually find me under the handle Lavenza on the Live from the Apocalypse Discord server, or also lurking in the Guild Superior channel. I'm going to be in a couple upcoming games, one of which I think, JD, did we announce that one? Redact? No, can't say yet. But look out for the future. I can also be found on Twitter at sbrownwrites, and yeah.
We, and with the theme, we have a lot of secrets, all of us, about projects that we can't quite announce yet.
I was not prepared.
All right, Will.
Okay. I actually don't have a bunch of things that I can't talk about. Most of the things that I'm doing, I can talk about. Hi, my name is Will, one of the GMs, storytellers, and the organizers here at Live from the Apocalypse, and I do a lot of different things. There's a social media handle down there that you can follow if you want. We have a lot of cool stuff coming up, but I'll probably talk more about that at the end. But tonight, I am playing Miss, not Lady, Abigail Donatelli, the Queen Playbook. and we are both very excited to be back. I think that's it for me.
Sounded like a threat, Will. All right, JT, coming to us for the first time.
Me? Hi, I'm JT. You can find me on Twitter at WeebJeet. You can also find me over at the Lost Caravan, oftentimes harassing them. But tonight I'm with LFTA playing Lady Octavia Frostpin of the Winter Court. She is using the Fey skin, and she's happy to debut today.
We are happy to have her and happy to have you, JT. And last but not least,
Hello, last and least, it's me, Raph. I am coming to you today to play Carmen Deloso, using the ghoul skin. What else? Yeah, I guess I'll announce some other stuff later. um, and yeah, I if there's any, exclamations or glitches, you see anything? No, you don't. You don't hear anything. You don't see anything. Just, get your head in the game. Focus on the story. What are you doing? Okay, that's it.
It's also somehow ominous.
that really was ominous. And I think especially because like most of it's going to get noise gated out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that
Oh,
makes
is
it
it?
even better.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Was
most
the
of it
last
usually
time
context.
I
does.
figured out? Because that was
Mostly.
that was time. Okay.
Mostly.
Well, then you'll never know.
But if you see Raph react, you will know. So yes, hi, I am JD. I am the storyteller for this game, this wildly chaotic game of 8 players across 2 tables across 8 weeks. This is the second session for Table 1, and we will be dealing with some of the repercussions from the first session as we jump in. I will not announce anything right now either. I'll hold that for the end, but you will be seeing me in a lot of things with LFTA in the coming months, I am realizing. So let's get hyped for that, as well as for tonight's session. And so I think with that, are we ready, players?
Sure.
Always.
No,
I'm ready, Captain.
no, I'm not.
The energy across this table is amazing, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I think everything is fine. I especially think everything is fine as we open on the Spring Court, or at least the residence of the Spring Court in the mortal realm. The residence that those who were there on that fateful horseback ride saw last time. However, everything about the grounds looks a bit different now. The flowers that were so vibrant are now muted. Some of them have even withered and not died. They're holding on, but a frost has come, quite literally. There is ice wreathing all of the flowers there at the Spring Court. And in the midst of the grounds, there is a body laid out, arms folded across his chest. The impressions of cold iron still seared into his wrists, throat, and while you can't see his legs, those at least who were there and saw the body would know it would also extend to the ankles. And there are hundreds in attendance, much of supernatural society, as well as some from mortal society who at least are adjacently involved in the supernatural community. Those who knew Reynard, those who perhaps even loved him in some cases, are there to say goodbye before his body is brought to the Winter Court for its final interment. And each of you are there as well. Perhaps with some surprising additions in some of your cases. Rhiannon, your father is there with you, your mother as well. Carmen, surprisingly, your parents are there. Not so much standing with you as somewhat near you. Octavia, you are there with Helix. You, though, are placed close to King Laszlo and Queen Guinevere, Prince Reynard's parents, as you are, of course, Prince Reynard's cousin. And perhaps, given circumstances, most surprisingly, Abigail, you are there, as is your father. And we're just going to take a moment to spend a little bit of time with each of you and see what transpired over the week between Prince Reynard's body being discovered on that horseback ride and now when his body is being laid to rest. We're going to start with you, Octavia. We are going to start on what happened with you that morning and why you were not involved in the events as they unfolded during this first day. Now, this was the start of your first season. You had a very successful introduction to the Regents. Helix, your tutor, was very proud of you. And you were sitting at your desk, looking out as preparations were underway for the event coming up later that day. An opportunity for a number of, can't really say high ranking because not everyone there was high ranking, but we'll say interesting parties being invited to the spring court for an opportunity to mingle, connect, perhaps find some suitable matches in the process, and go on a horseback ride. And I'm going to say, if this sounds right to you, you're sitting there with 2 letters in your hand, reflecting on the events of the night before, the moments you had with some certain individuals.
Yeah. Octavia received 2 letters. One, a response to her letter from Elise, and then another one from her cousin. I'll start with the response one, if that's okie dokie.
I would absolutely love that.
Dearest Octavia, I must thank you for a most gracious gift. You are truly capable of such beautiful magic, and I continue to find myself in awe. It would be both my pleasure and honor to extend you a formal invitation to afternoon tea at the palace. I should like to keep my word and give you a tour of that which I am able, foremost, of course, being the library. I have found your wit most incomparable, and I find myself delighted to think what wonders such a place might hold for someone well read enough to uncover them. Of course, I would be remiss to not apologize for our interrupted hand of poker. I suppose in the excitement I forgot my constitution, and whilst it was not my intent to be made absent, I am nonetheless hopeful that our unfinished game may be reason to play another hand with you in the future. I look forward to my sure defeat. I shall ready the studio for your arrival, should you still agree to humor me for a portrait. I promise the process to be both swift and painless, though I will do my level best to entertain regardless. Yours most heartily, Miss Elise Clarendon.
What is Octavia thinking as she reads over that letter?
She's fond of Elise after that evening. They're both people who are quite rather new to the season, and while Octavia's circumstances may be a little more traditional. Um, she feels she has an understanding and a friendship in Elise at the very least. But she's feeling mostly glee at the prospect of getting to see her again and tour the castle with her.
We love that for Octavia.
I do. And then the letter from her cousin, which arrived the morning after the events have already transpired. Um, it arrived overnight as well. To my dear cousin, it is truly a pleasure to see you out and about, mingling with high society after all of this time. I never understood why your parents chose to keep you hidden away for so long, but perhaps everything happens, well, according to necessity. For this is a season that no one will soon forget, and I am glad that you will be a part of it, perhaps an integral part. I will be honest with you, cousin. I am a man on a mission this season. Perhaps you will think me foolish for trying to win back the heart of someone who wronged me in the ways that Lady Carewood did, but we all do foolish things in pursuit of what our heart desires. If you could help me in this pursuit, it would go a long way in repairing the damage that was caused when your parents stepped away from their roles and duties. At least in full, I know they were not completely negligent. It is your decision, of course, but with a history as long as the ones between our respective families, I would hope that I would have your support. Lady Carewood certainly understands your connection to the Winter Court, but she has no reason to cast any aspersions on your motivations. You are new and innocent to many of the ways of high society, especially where the supernatural elite and those of higher status intersect. You could use a friend, couldn't you? Someone to help you understand how to navigate this new world, and who better to do that than some of the high status, such as Lady Carewood? I can promise that if you find your way into Lady Carewood's confidence, I will ensure that you and your family are richly rewarded. I believe you may have the perfect opportunity in the coming days. I hope you will see reason in entering this agreement with me. We are family after all. You certainly made an impression in the re-entrance of your family to society, and I believe you could have quite the successful season if we help each other. With all sincerity, Prince Reynard of the Winter Court.
And what is Octavia thinking about that letter?
Octavia doesn't like it one bit. She, like most Fae, do not like it when people break their word, and she, sheltered as she is, does not understand why someone might want to win back someone who broke their heart like that and broke an engagement as important as to the prince of Winter Court. And so she is, while distrustful, at least somewhat endeared to her cousin's plight. She does send a response letter that, well, you know how that goes.
Incredible. And so, Octavia, you are in the process of starting to get ready for the day when there is a knock on your door and Helix walks in. Would you like to describe both Octavia and Helix, since we have not gotten to see them, either of them yet?
Yes. Octavia is young. She's 19, fresh out of the palace. She does not wear a glamour. She's got just icy blue skin and hair white as snow, and even still appears to have snow in it somehow. She's got little white freckles, and her normal casual proper wear is a darker blue dress with snow patterns on it and long white gloves to cover her arms. And she wears her hair up, sort of braided around to the back and down in the back, sort of just like a tight pull. Helix is of a lighter blue skin tone and more gray hair than snow hair. And they are a tall, lanky individual who, for all intents and purposes, looks just a little bit too long. Their glamour, however, is just tattoos upon tattoos of frost patterns and snowflakes, all the way up basically to their collarbone, where they have a sort of neatly kept beard and mustache in a pattern not dissimilar to that of President Snow from the Hunger Games, if you're familiar with that costuming choice.
Incredible. And so Helix walks in. Helix is always friendly to you, Octavia. You have been with them basically your entire life, and they are here with you in the stead of your parents, who were not ready to make their own reentrance into society. And Helix looks at you and then kind of glances out the window over Octavia's head and just asks, "How are you feeling about today?"
Nervous, certainly nervous. I think the gloves will help hide that fact. The nerves. Um, but a lot of reading it was done for this, but in practice, not so much. I guess we will have to see how I'm feeling about this after I get into the fray.
Octavia, we've been riding several times. This isn't your first time on one of these mounts.
It's my first time on a spring court mount. What if the winter horses are different?
They do have some winter horses in the stable. There is still that as an option. I can make sure that you get a mount you are more familiar with.
I appreciate that, Helix. I don't know. What if my form is wrong for them? What if everything that we did riding is outdated now? A lot of my education comes from my parents who stepped away, 19 years ago.
And Helix nods and sighs just a bit and says, "Octavia, I have no doubt that you will use every bit of skill that we have worked on, and even if it is outdated, perhaps they will see it as something new, something different, something interesting."
I don't want to be interesting, Helix. I'd like to just keep my head down so that Reynard can have his moment in court, and then maybe I have a perfectly regular season, not in the limelight. There's always next season for me to be new and interesting.
And Helix tenses a bit when you mention Prince Reynard. And they look torn, like there's something they want to say to you about that. But at that point, there is a knock on the door.
Goody, strangers. Helix, would you mind getting that, please?
Helix looks relieved, to be frank, to have this interruption and says, "Of course," and goes to the door. Is Octavia paying attention to what happens once Helix reaches the door?
Uh, I think once Octavia starts going on here's all the things that could go wrong with today, um, she spends more time focusing on keeping her nerves at bay so that she doesn't just freeze the room over. Um, Little breathing exercise. So she's not paying a whole lot of attention. Probably she's probably just more focusing internally.
And so I think Octavia is vaguely aware that when Helix goes to open the door, they actually step into the hallway for a moment rather than bring the person inside. And there's maybe a minute or two before the door opens back up and Helix, who looks very serious and is carrying himself in a way that Octavia has never seen before. Back straight, shoulders, just very upright in a position. And even his voice is a bit different as he says, "My apologies, Octavia. There is urgent business that I need to attend. I know how excited you were for today's ride, but I need you to stay in your room until this is resolved."
What? What's going on? You were all but about to drag me out of the door.
I was. Octavia, your cousin, Prince Reynard, is missing.
I think at that she does legitimately just like her legs freeze in place and ice shoots out from the base of her heels. That can't be right. I received a letter from him last night when I got back from the party.
That is going to be very important information for us to have in figuring out what his last actions may have been. I need to go. I need to help the king and queen, as well as the seneschal, figure out what to do next. But Prince Reynard needs to be found.
I sent him a response this morning. No one said it came up short.
And with that, we don't know when exactly he did disappear. So, Octavia, write me down everything you know of contact that you had or attempted to have with him. I will be back as soon as I can, but do not leave this room in the meantime.
I can do that. It was just the one contact attempt. I received the letter. I wrote a response. I didn't see him at all last night. I haven't seen him since I was introduced to the regions.
Well, hopefully there are others who did see him between now and then. Do not do not worry yourself too much, Octavia. There could be a myriad of explanations for this.
I think you know better than to ask me not to worry.
I do, but you know your breathing exercises. I know you can do this. Take some time, take care of yourself, and I will be back to check on you as soon as I can be.
Okay, sure. I will breathe and try not to turn this entire court to winter. In the meantime, check in frequently, check in often, and I give me details if you can, please.
I will keep you as informed as I'm allowed by our regents.
Okay.
I'll be back as soon as I can, Octavia.
Can I contact my dad?
I would not do that yet.
Okay, sure.
And with that, Helix is going to leave, and we're actually going to move back to Octavia in the present day, standing at the funeral with Helix by your side. Helix is now dressed actually in the uniform of a guard, not in their typical attire. They have a sword at their hip, and while they are standing beside you and have a hand on your shoulder, they are scanning the crowd consistently. Their attention is not on you, though they are present to be giving you what little comfort they can during this time. And with that, we are going to pan away from Octavia. And we're going to pan over to Rhiannon. I would first like to know, what is Rhiannon wearing
For the funeral,
for the funeral?
I feel like it's only appropriate to wear black at the funeral out of respect to the family. No jewelry. She has gone a respectful mourning attire, not a full elaborate mourning attire, because they've been broken up for 6 months. She feels like it would be presumptuous to wear a more outlandish funeral attire. Given that, she feels like it would be seen as disrespectful, so she has simple black mourning attire and a black veil.
Rhiannon, you
Mm,
had received some letters.
I did.
I would love for us to consider some of the words that may be going through Rhiannon's mind now as she stands here at the funeral.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just reflecting back on the past few days and how everything was hectic, and she didn't have much to do because her father didn't want her going anywhere. She did receive some letters. The first of which was, let me see, I have it here. The letter is sealed with emerald wax tied with twine to a small collection of flowers. They look as if they've been plucked rather clumsily by an untrained hand, barely a bouquet, as there is only one stem for each bloom, a soft pink amaryllis, a yellow dahlia, a bundle of grape hyacinth, and a bright stick of goldenrod. Inside the letter is a piece of cracked marble that seems to glow in the light. The edges are cluttered with speckled greens of moss, hiding some of the jagged shards of the stone. It reads, to my beautiful brambled lady, I do not wish to dwell on the news of the prince, as I am sure you are facing enough torment from your father in the Ton. I will, however, reiterate my loyalty to you and you alone in this matter. Please know that I stand by your side as an ally to you always. I hope within all of this chaos you find the respite and freedom you so very much deserve. The prince can no longer hurt you, and I will not allow anyone else to do so in the future. I am certain your father is not allowing suitors to visit or comfort you. It is a shame we must wait for our next encounter, so for every day we do not meet, I will collect an item that reminds me of you. At least that way I can do something with the claim you have over my mind. This first item I will give to you, along with the small bouquet. The flowers are said to symbolize confidence, a reminder of your strength and courage. The other is a wishing stone. The continuous white ring marking around the stone holds a promise to uphold whatever desire you place on it. I have a promise I hold for you as well, and I hope to one day share it with you. Forever your friend and ally, Carmen. What's interesting is there is no white ring on the stone she received, but the gesture was very sweet. She has the flowers on her writing desk, and she keeps the stone close for luck because right now she feels like she kind of needs it.
And with that, Rhiannon, I would like us to take a little bit of a trip back to the moment that we left Rhiannon and Carmen in, because as I recall, well, the two of you were standing there, you were having a very beautiful conversation. Carmen, you were telling Rhiannon how much you wanted her to be able to have the things that she wanted, irrespective of what other people in their life want for them. Rhiannon was saying, this is not as simple as you're making it sound. All I can offer right now is friendship. And was, I mean, we'll just be honest here, effectively giving Carmen a hit list of the people standing in Carmen's way. And that is right where we had left the two of you. And so I am curious what happened between the two of you in those moments that followed.
given that she had explained that one Captain Fitz de Villiers had expressed an interest as a suitor, that she was able to meet him due to Carmen inviting her to the party he and Dorian were holding. She just kind of takes a moment to compose herself because she hadn't been doing so great at the party. She kind of tugs at some of the thorns out of her hair and just says, I apologize for misreading the situation. What I thought was an overstep on my part was clearly you making an overture to me, and in misreading it, I had expressed a willingness to accept Captain de Villiers' offer of courtship. I do not know how it will go. I do not know if it will last. It is very new, and I don't feel like at this time I can promise you more than my friendship. And I am sorry for overcomplicating things more than you already have things complicated in your life, but I don't know what the future may hold. I don't know what may change, but regardless, you had offered friendship. And for now, that is all I can promise you. And I hope you will forgive me the mess I've made of things.
I think Carmen kind of just takes that all in, and is quiet for a while, and then says, "My lady, there's no need to apologize. And it's like you said, you don't know how this will go or how long it will last. So, if friendship is what you can offer me now, we shall see what you can offer me in the future."
You're very understanding. Thank you.
And I think that is the perfect moment to talk about the other letter that Rhiannon received.
Yeah.
As you're thinking back to that moment now with
Yeah,
Carmen
just fucking grip it,
their
baby.
kind words.
Slop that down, dude.
Donation, thank you.
Dude,
Thank
crack
you.
one for the big boy.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you, Mom.
Thanks, Will's mom.
Thanks, Mom.
So as you're
Stick
thinking
around.
back, yes,
Don't go to
definitely,
bed.
definitely do. So Rhiannon, as you're thinking back to that moment, it of course makes you think about the other letter that you received. Please share that with us.
Yes, it was a response to a letter and a gift she had sent to Fitz, explaining what had happened with her father intercepting the letter and his reaction. And she was sure to see anything. She had been very on point with intercepting any letters she thought might have been for her before her father got to them. And it helped that he was a bit busy with, everything that happened. So she was.
And you also had your maid Noelle's help.
My maid Noelle also helped with that. So the moment she received a response from Fitz, she went up to her room and locked it. And it was delivered discreetly this time. An individual in plain clothes presents the letter and vanishes before questions can be asked. The simple paper is folded neatly and sealed with the institutional seal of the Horse Grenadiers. I think I pronounced it right. Maybe I didn't. Rhiannon, I apologize for my delay in response. Prince Reynard's death has shocked us all, and my regiment has been put back to reserve status. I confess the frenetic activity has been a welcome distraction, as this letter will not be an easy one to write. I was deeply saddened by your father's reaction to my last letter, disturbed and troubled that he saw fit to burn the portrait I had sent you. I fear I have been overly rash in my actions, and it wounds me deeply to think I may have caused you pain or distress through my actions, which I assure you were genuine if overzealous. Given the prince's untimely death and your father's reaction, I think it best if we remain merely friends for the moment. I cannot tell you the pain it causes me to write these words, but it is not a decision I make lightly. I fear I would only be adding to your troubles, and I will not be responsible than any more than I've already caused. I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me. In truth, there is a final reason which supersedes and makes irrelevant the others. For too long, I've been in the winter of my thoughts. As the old song goes, winter dreams the same dream every time. I have been so focused on shielding myself from my family's wrath that I did not notice the roots of love growing in my heart for another. That love has bloomed in the most unexpected way, but I confess it has made me think of my position differently. I am terribly happy, and I do not expect you to be satisfied with my divided attention. You are the sun, Rhiannon, but they are the moon, and my path was laid before me before I knew how to walk it. Again, the thought this letter may cause you pain cuts me to my core. Though I understand if you decide otherwise, I hope you will always think of me as your friend and your ally. You may call upon me any time, and my day will be brightened. You are always in my thoughts, and every portrait I make of you will be framed in garlands of freshly cut tears. Your obedient servant and constant friend, Fitz. P.S. Give all my compliments to Win, the most esteemed chuff I know.
That's a lot to take in, Rhiannon.
She's having a week, and she kind of processes the letter and just kind of recalls the letter he'd sent before when she'd agreed to a courtship and recalls the words he'd used. It might have been. The saddest words, it might have been. And she just kind of reflects on that for a moment and then quietly folds the letter up and opens the drawer in her writing desk where she had made a false bottom over the winter, where she keeps the letters that are personal to her from Carmen, the first half of the letter from Fitz that she'd burned the rest of, a folded letter she'd received from Renard, and she tucks this letter in the false bottom, and before she closes the drawer, she takes the Spanish travel log that Fitz had gifted her the night of the after party and puts it in the drawer and just quietly closes it. And she notices the plants Carmen had gifted her start to wither, and she quickly moves away from them before her emotions can ruin that too.
And as you're recalling those words and those moments, Rhiannon, well, one could say it's helpful that you're at a funeral, since anyone seeing the emotions cross your face, the glinting of tears in your eyes, would think that it is for your former fiance, Reynard.
Lucky me. Is Fitz and his family at the funeral?
Fitz is at the funeral.
She
The
doesn't
family,
approach
not
him.
so much, but you
She doesn't approach him.
you do see him though in the crowd.
She just gives one look, and that's all. And again, funeral, tears, it all blends in so well. She just feels like a big old fool, so. Everything's coming up Carmen, apparently. Woo, she's not having a good time.
We're going to see how the rest of this particular day goes, but you and Carmen may have a chance to have some moments. And in that way, speaking of Carmen, what do we find Carmen dressed in?
Well, Carmen was already wearing morning clothes to begin with. He has been all season so far. So I don't think he's changed much as far as what he would probably typically wear to any sort of outing. I don't think he's like dressed up any more than he would. I think his parents probably are dressed exaggeratingly formal for a morning funeral. So Carmen looks almost underdressed next to them. And he still has that tiny, now like very dried and somewhat crackling piece of lavender like tucked into his pocket.
Incredible. And
I think he is also kind of spending the funeral like just not paying attention and just making like glances and trying to see who's there and gauge reactions to people. Certain people, but I assume
interesting.
we'll get to that.
And does Carmen have any letters
Carmen
that
does have
they
some
may be
letters.
reflecting on?
Yes, he
I would love to hear
does.
them.
Okie dokie. Hold on, let me pull them up. Okay. Uh, so the first comes a day or two after Carmen sent Rhiannon the letter and the gifts. There's a familiar black duff that arrives in the evening and taps on Carmen's bedroom window. There's a folded letter attached to his leg. Forgive me, I'm sick. The letter is sealed in a deep green wax with the Carewood family crest. On opening the letter, the top right and bottom left corners are edged with small watermark renderings of leafy vines. Included in the letter is a single earring made of silver vines winding around a teardrop shaped amethyst, which he's definitely wearing. And the letter says, "To my gallant gentleman, your compliments continue to make me blush, though I don't know if I've done much to earn such sweetness from you. Thank you for the lovely flowers. They are a beautiful addition to my writing desk. I've never seen a wishing stone before until you gifted me this one, and I shall keep it close for luck. Your promise of loyalty and friendship give me a sense of relief during this turmoil. I treasure those words and readily return these sentiments to you, to those close to me. Please know that should you ever need someone to stand by you in a storm, you have only to call my name. You are correct in your assessment of my father. He has not allowed me any visitors and is insisting I follow more mourning etiquette than I feel is acceptable given my engagement with the prince ended 6 months ago. Half mourning carries a certain intimacy that I fear would make me appear arrogant in light of our broken engagement. I, however, plan to insist on more appropriately subtle signs of mourning out of respect to the family. I wanted him to leave me be, but not like this. Lonely as I am in my home, I know it will not last, and it is much easier to endure than my winter locked away in isolation. Soon we will be able to see each other again. Until then, I hope you stay safe, and I will keep your gifts close as a reminder of our friendship. I've included a small gift of protection for you, along with a letter carried by wind. It's a small enchantment that will work once. I hope it is enough. But more than that, I hope you never have cause to use it. I hope the stone is to your liking. Always your friend through sunlight and storms, Rhiannon." Yeah, that's the first letter.
And out of curiosity, Carmen, do you
Mhm.
have that item on you?
Yes, I think Carmen's wearing it.
Okay.
I think he I think he's definitely wearing that earring.
Okay.
Yeah. And the second letter arrives probably a day or two after the discovery of Reynard's body. The letter arrives from a servant dressed in plain clothes who leaves the letter with one of our servants and vanishes before any questions could be asked. The letter is written on a stationery with the institutional seal of the horse Grandiers as a watermark. Uh, the envelope is sealed using a black wax, and the writing is a deep blue ink, and it is neat and precise. And it says, Carmen, I've been thinking of our encounter following my little after party. I admit that prior to our meeting, you were already something of an intriguing mystery to me. People in my position have a distaste for mysteries. I do not like puzzles or riddles, or rather, I do not like leaving them unsolved. And you have been a riddle I have had far too little information to sort out properly. Until the other night, at least. I hope whatever you took from me satiated you, although I believe it likely did not. The trail of mindless fools is proof enough of that. Still, I believe we understood one another a little better, and I will promise you I bear you no ill will for what happened. I know well enough what it's like to live with a hunger that is difficult and improper to indulge without the threat of losing oneself completely. Should you ever wish to speak more, or simply to spend time with another who will not judge you for it, my home and my friendship remain at your disposal. However, I must warn you not to mistake the child who ran for the man who writes to you now. I have learned many hard lessons between then and now, and running from problems has never solved them. They will always catch you up. Remember that, should you find yourself in need of your allies. Which brings me to Rhiannon. I understand she's important to both of us, but having met you, I worry you will not be able to control yourself. I will not tolerate threats to her safety. I say this as a criticism of, not as a criticism of you, but as someone who cares deeply for her. I would be your friend even in this matter. So long as you conduct yourself with grace and care, and the care you exhibited to her during the party. If, however, you treat her as you did me, then no amount of friendship will save you. uh, to you, actually, yeah, I'll skip this part. I
Yes,
remain for the time
you
being.
are not able actually to even remember that part fully, Carmen.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. I remain
going
for
on?
the time being, hopeful that we may become friends. If you find yourself unable to control your hunger in her presence, I urge you to remember her face illuminated by fireworks on that rooftop. I saw the care you are capable of, and I'm sure your better nature will win out. I will sign off here. Hopefully you will reciprocate my offer of friendship. Your willing servant and friend, Captain Fitzgerald de Villiers. And with the letter is a small sheet of old paper, folded neatly. It is a broadside clipping announcing the brutal murder of the Delosos. And there's a small note inside. And it says, I have been looking into this for my own reasons. If I find anything, you will be the first to know. And then perhaps we can make fireworks together. Those are my letters.
I'm
Both of them.
blushing. I feel scandalized from listening to that.
Yeah, that was
My
intense. What the heck?
God!
Anyway.
I read the letter, and I have to be honest, there is so much in that we're just gonna pan away from Carmen at that point. There is nothing I can say that is going to top that.
Oh, no, Carbon.
Anyway.
And with that, we're going to move over to Abigail. How is Abigail dressed for this funeral?
Abigail is dressed very appropriately. Again, not above her station as not being a lady of the court, so it's generally fairly simple. I think she is wearing yet another black dress, although this one's less of like a summery cut and more something more suited for a funeral. And I think she has these sort of very long, elegant gloves that go like all the way up to mid bicep. she is not wearing very much jewelry, as tends to be her wont, but her hair is very flat and not its natural curliness because she is trying not to draw attention to herself. But she does have a rose tucked behind one ear in her hair, except it is a black rose in this case because this is a funeral.
And does Abigail have any letters that she may be reflecting on?
This may shock you, but she does. So, her letter, uh, her letter was delivered by hand to her residence, and I think probably she happened to see this from her bedroom window, looking out, but she would have seen Captain Fitzgerald de Villiers hand deliver a letter to one of the glassy-eyed servants. He doesn't linger, but he does. He does drop it off. And I like to think that maybe there is a moment where their eyes maybe meet as she's looking down from her bedroom window, but he does not tarry.
I love that.
This particular letter is written on pale blue paper, and it is sealed with his personal emblem in black wax, but the ink is still the black ink flecked with gold. And it says, Miss Donatelli, Abigail, I scarce know how or where to begin, but I will be brief lest I ramble. This has been a time of reckonings, and I am not immune from that. I am afraid I must confess something to you. I can barely will my pen to move, but you deserve to know the truth. I began our correspondence with an ulterior motive, one that had nothing to do with getting to know you, but was in fact designed to use you as a means to learn more about your father. You may know my own father views yours as a political rival and actively plots for his downfall. He certainly does not conceal his contempt. My father also holds my own life by a thread. At any moment, he could sever the connection between us, should he so choose. I was resolved to protect myself from him at any cost, and thought to attempt to find out Abraham's movements and secrets through you. I am nothing more than an amateur plotter, and it pained me to use another person in this way. But I thought if I could provide my father with information, I would be safe. My priorities, however, have changed, and the lifestyle I was so desperate to protect means almost nothing to me now. I have reckoned with my own soul and found it wanting. I accept whatever judgment or anger you feel, for I deserve all of it. If you want to strike me down in anger, here I stand. I will no longer wear a mask for you. Although I don't expect a letter from you, I hope you will accept my apologies and explanations. I do not deserve your forgiveness, but I ask it anyway. I have found you to be a charming, intelligent, and worthy correspondent, and I would like to humbly request we begin again. No secrets, no shadows, just us. Your ashamed but hopeful servant, Fitzgerald.
And in light of that, how does Abigail react to Fitz as she notices him among the many others in the crowd?
I think she looks cold at first, and I think when she first read the letter, as she was seated at her desk, there would have been storm clouds that kind of appeared on her face. I think she would have been angry at the thought of being manipulated when she is normally the one who does the manipulating. And I think, kind of without thinking about it, she takes the letter and holds it over the candle flame that is on her desk. And it starts to burn. And she holds it in her hand and watches it. but right as the flame reaches the top of the text, she blows it out. She looks conflicted. And she just kind of stares at it, sitting on her desk with the top of it charred black, before she opens the drawer and her own secret compartment and tucks the letter away inside of it.
Incredible.
And so after this moment of conflicted expression, when she sees Fitz standing at the funeral, she will give him a normal, very warm Abigail smile, maybe even wave at him from across the funeral.
And as you're looking around at the crowd, Abigail, your eyes do fall on another figure standing actually not too far away from Octavia with those in the Winter Court, Emery, who you had been talking to right at the moment you had gotten a rather unexpected message while at that tea party.
Mm-hmm.
What did Abigail do after Mr. Dorian Black's voice came through and said, Abigail, something's happened. What's your father up to?
Abigail would have paused for a second, just listening to the message, and then started to cough. And she would have kind of taken a step back from Emery as she coughs, like she's not feeling well.
And Emery, of course, looked quite concerned and tentatively reached their hand out and asked, Are you all right?
I will be fine, I think. Uh, it's so much warmer than I thought it would be out here.
Is there
I think,
anything I can get you?
I think perhaps this is quite enough excitement for one day for me. But she will take that moment to draw a little bit closer to Emery, maybe even reach out and put one hand over his heart, over their heart, and say, I would like to know each other on a deeper level.
And
You'll let
Emery,
me.
Emery is, their face is flushed. Whether that's your words, the physical contact, they are just gazing into Abigail's eyes and rather breathlessly say, I would like that. I would like that a lot.
Abigail smiles knowingly and says, I'm so happy to hear you say that. And even though I leave today, from this moment on, a part of us will always be together. And can I add him to my gang?
Emery is now officially yours. They look delighted, absolutely delighted, and say, Abigail, nothing would make me happier.
I know.
Are you sure, though, that you have to leave?
For now, yes, but this won't be the last we see of each other.
I look forward to that.
I know. And she will excuse herself, because always leave them wanting more.
What does Abigail do after leaving Emery?
After leaving Emery, she would see if there is anything she could find out from Dorian, and then she would try to go talk to her father.
Okay.
And I'm assuming she can get all of the details that we know from having watched episode 1 of Table 2 of a season of Secret Shadows here on Live from the Apocalypse.
Great plug.
Yeah.
Yes, she definitely could. And you would know about, I would imagine you're using Dorian's eyes to see what he
Yes.
saw. And so you would see Prince Reynard with cold iron chains on him, linking him to trees, blood soaking the ground.
With infernal symbols, don't forget.
With infernal symbols, yes. Yes. I don't know, maybe you can also smell the sulfur through
Okay.
as well.
Okay. Cool. All right. Yeah. So then I think if I can kind of drive the camera for a second, I think
100%.
we'd probably cut to Abraham Donatelli's study and her kind of just entering without permission.
And your father is sitting there writing something, although when the door opens, he does not turn to look at you. He does take whatever he was working on and put it in one of the drawers.
Cool. Was this you?
I have no idea what you're talking about, Abigail.
Don't play dumb, Abraham. Surely you've heard by now, one way or another.
About the prince.
Yes, about the prince.
And he shifts in his chair, not completely facing you, but enough that he can at least see you out of the corner of his eye. Why do you care?
I don't, but if it was, there are many signs that point back to us, and I will surely be questioned.
And given that, Abigail, what makes you think I would be that reckless?
I don't think you would be. But I think some of your associates might not be as careful. And either way, it does nothing to make us look less suspicious.
And if that were the case, Abigail, that this was one of my associates, that would be my problem to deal with, now wouldn't it?
As you say, just so long as we are clear, your problem.
It would seem we are perfectly in mutual understanding.
That was all I wanted to ask.
And he turns back to his desk, although he doesn't open the drawer.
Abigail will leave.
Before Abigail makes it to the door, he does just say over his shoulder, Abigail, you know the rules. I would not recommend that you enter any of my rooms without asking permission first. Again.
Of course, Father. I forget myself.
You do. But we have a mutual understanding.
I think the only other thing he hears in response is the click of the door shutting.
And with that, I think it is fair to say, as we pan back to the funeral, you and your father do certainly have a fair amount of attention on you both. It is perhaps notable, although the talk among those who are here seems to be split both ways. It has been noted that Father Ashley Donovan of the Infernal Church is not here, which half of the crowd seems to think is rather scandalous and perhaps an admittance of guilt, while the other is saying, in light of what happened, no representative or member of the Infernal Church should be here. You do see Emery.
Yeah, I do. Okay. Interesting. Do I see the rest of my friends? By which
You
I mean
do.
the three other players, not my friends.
You, on both counts, we're going to just say you do.
Okay, cool. Cool. I think in this particular case, Abigail is looking very distraught, very sad, very heartbroken. She is not approaching anyone. She is just very much embodying a sort of wilting flower in her seat. And, if there are refreshments, then she has a drink in her hand, but she's just kind of staring down at it, maybe stirring it, but not actually drinking from it, and just very much inviting any sympathy she can garner or anyone who might want to come and talk to her.
And I will just speak for Emery. You notice that their eyes are on you more so than anyone else throughout this entire service that is going on, as all of you are in your recollections of the past week and thinking about letters that you have received. And Emery does go at one point to take a step towards Abigail, and Helix just puts a hand on their shoulder and stops them. And then fixes Abigail with a look that Abigail can't quite read. It's a very practiced neutral expression, but their eyes are on you.
She would meet their eyes, but with that depth of sadness behind her own.
And they stare at you for a long moment and then just incline their head in a slight nod and let go of Emery, but Emery does not try to move forward again.
That's fine.
Does anyone else choose to approach Abigail?
I think Carmen would.
Yeah, you would.
I'll bring my stink over to you. I think as everything kind of settles, and people begin to disperse, I think he would kind of slowly and slinkingly make his way over to Abigail.
And I'm actually going to pause you there,
Hold on, what? Okay.
Because before you have a chance to do that,
Okay.
I think Carmen has, as you said, not been paying any attention to what's going on with the funeral. And so I think in this
No.
moment, Carmen, you're thinking that it's over, things are about to start dispersing. We are not quite there yet, though. And you find yourself freezing as you hear Queen Guinevere, Prince Reynard's mother. Her voice grows in volume. It is unmistakable. It is impossible not to hear what she says. And she is standing there. King Laszlo has stepped back. He appears overtaken with emotion. And as she looks out at the crowd, she says, "What happened is not an unthinkable tragedy. This was direct action on the part of someone looking to send a message. With this, whoever you are, whether you are here today or whether you will hear of this in the days that follow, know that the Winter Court is sending a message of our own. We will not tolerate the ritual murder and execution of not just one of our own, but a prince of our court, a son of our court. We will find out who is responsible for this, and when we do," and she pauses, and she looks over at Queen Louise Montgomery and Sovereign Micah Bellamy, who are both there standing a respectful distance back, and they both nod, clearly giving her permission to continue. At which point she says, "Well, when we do, we have been granted permission to take justice into our own hands. And you will see how little mercy the Winter Court has when dealing in retribution." And she looks over towards Prince Reynard's body, and you can see icicles forming on her cheeks from the tears that are falling and freezing into place. And just finishes by saying, "Well, you will suffer regardless, but I can assure you that if you come forward, if you do not make us hunt you down, and we will hunt you down, if you turn yourself in, we will not prolong your suffering unnecessarily. In that instance, we will at least show you as much mercy as you showed to our son."
Abigail lets out a strangled little sob that she couldn't quite contain.
Incredible. Incredible.
Rhiannon just still has tears just falling. She's not saying anything. She's not approaching. She's just keeping her head respectfully down.
What about Octavia?
I mean, Octavia was expecting this sort of speech from the queen from her aunt. She is still just absolutely rattled to her core and is completely frosted over. Um, any tears that may have been falling are just covered up by the fact that they turn to frost as they roll down her cheek. And she is staring dead and cold as possible at Reynard's corpse and has not paid anyone else any mind.
In that moment, Octavia, you get a moment of surprising warmth, and it takes you an instant to realize where it's coming from. Because you have been staring at Reynard's body, you have been finding your body covered in ice. And there is a moment as you happen to glance down and see your arms when you remember someone else holding onto your arm looking at those patterns, calling them beautiful. And you look over off to the side and see, standing close to but a bit of a ways from the regents, Seneschal Julia Shaw, and beside them, Miss Elise Clarendon.
I think at the memory of the warmth of an actual like person who, after this past week, has shown her innumerable kindness. Her hands defrost just a little bit down to the wrist, and she lets out a foggy winter breath as she sort of lets just a little bit of that shame go before just fully letting her frost like go through the ground basically, and icing the grass of the funeral procession in a pattern centering on her.
And it does. The ice moves through you, Octavia. It spreads out over the ground and actually even creeps up to where Prince Reynard's body is. It is done so seamlessly that those of the Winter Court, as well as all others observing, think this was a final act of devotion towards your cousin, a way to commemorate him. And there are even some small gasps at the beauty of it. And I think that is where we are going to pause and take our break. How's everybody doing?
Jesus.
So good. So good.
Great.
I feel like we
You
need a
murdered my
new.
cousin. I can't stress this enough.
We need like a redo of this game, but all we do is read letters.
Yeah.
Just Monster
Letters
Heart
edition.
Letters edition.
Monster
Yeah.
Heart letters.
We can achieve that.
Yes.
We can achieve that.
Special.
Easily.
Some of the
That's
letters
basically just the
today.
RP channels.
Yeah. That's fair.
We'll be back in 10 minutes. Don't go away.
No, I need to know what the
You
something
gotta kill
is.
those dads.
No,
What are we
Regency
hunting them
Monster
for?
Hearts, a season of Secret Shadows, Daddy Hunters.
There has to be a limit to words, Raph.
There has to be
Absolutely
a
not.
There has to be a line.
There has to be.
The line is
Gone.
your
It's-
imagination.
That is no.
The limit does not exist.
I do just want everybody in the audience to know that the phrase "all you can peg buffet" was thrown around during the break.
William, why did you have to say that for a second time?
It was too good not to.
It was so
I don't know what you
good,
mean a
though.
second
Share.
time. Anybody could have said it.
it.
We need a phrase. I'm sorry to keep pitching things that are awful and terrible in every way. But we need like a t-shirt. Hear me out. A t-shirt of all the crazy unhinged phrases that have been said during
Like a
this.
collage.
Yeah, just like a list.
Yeah, and
Somebody
just an
needs to
absolute
start
like
keeping a list then, because
God.
there have been too many.
New
half of
Discord
it,
channel.
You know,
Unhinged
we have
things.
the VODs as well.
That's true. Somebody can go through those. It's not going to be me.
I nominate Raph since
Yeah,
they
I also
are
nominate-
nominating
It's their
themselves.
idea. It's only fair.
Fair enough.
I'll make
All
that shirt.
right. Yeah, we're gonna have to make that.
Okay. What was it you said? Dad pegging buffet?
I said it's an
Oh,
all-you-can peg buffet.
All you can peg. I'm gonna write that down real
Bad
quick.
people.
Julia, we have been over this. We didn't have a merch supplier who could do booty shorts, but we will soon, I think.
Oh, good. This way I can cosplay
Is that
Ambrose the next
so?
time I play them.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we are back. We are definitely still unhinged.
We're fine.
Let's get back into putting the fun in funeral.
Yeah,
That seems great.
this is a party.
My cousin is dead.
I'm crying in the corner. Thank you.
Oh no, did we lose Raph?
No.
It's a good freeze, though.
Damn. There was too much buffet, I guess.
Too much.
Too much.
Please don't
They're
say
back
that.
immediately.
Oh,
Please
God.
none
no,
of
never
the,
mind.
please none
They're
of you
still
say this. I'm suffering.
Oh, how does it feel?
I'm the storyteller. I'm not supposed to suffer.
There we go.
That's not true.
Yay.
That is
That's
100%
absolutely
true.
not true. That's a lie.
Listen, in all the games that I run, when you suffer, I suffer. That's the deal.
Aw.
That's
Mutually
somehow
assured suffering.
That's gotta be the
somehow
biggest lie I've ever
sweet.
heard.
Yeah, I feel like that's a lie.
You're
Hmm.
right. You'd be correct.
You found me out.
So, jumping back into the action with you, Carmen, I seem to
Yes.
recall that you were approaching one Abigail Donatelli.
I was Grinch-like slinking over
Stop
to
describing things.
over to Abigail Donatelli. Yeah, and I think he walks up. I think on his way over, I'm assuming there's already, since everything's kind of, we're in an almost reception-y.
Things are moving in that way. What I
Things
will
are
say,
moving.
we are
Drinks are out.
drinks are not out quite yet.
right,
Basically, some people are splitting off and clearly heading out, which does strike you as a little strange because the four of you, it's been clear from your parents / guardians / whoever is with you that you are expected to remain for the reception that will follow. Not everyone seems to be staying. In fact, the regents are leaving. A huge retinue of the Winter Court is escorting Reynard's body back to the Winter Court, including the king and queen, not including Helix. Helix is staying with you, Octavia.
Thank God.
Also, not including many of the Spring Court. Most of them are staying as well.
Okay.
So things are in a bit of flux in this moment where some people are leaving, some are starting to make their way inside the castle.
Okay. Yeah. So I think Carmen goes up to Abigail, and says, Miss Donatelli, it's intriguing to find you here, I must say. The way that the prince was found doesn't really paint you and your family in a very good light.
It is.
This is not an accusation, I will say. I know that sounded quite upfront, but
I would
just
never
say
take it as such, since I could not. I was with you,
of course,
at the party. I could not have done this.
Oh no, of course. I don't believe you would.
It is a terrible tragedy, though, and seeing
Of course.
the prince like this, it's
heartbreaking.
Abigail is gonna kind of choke back another sob and like throw herself at Carmen. Just kind of because she is so distraught, she can't bear to face this any longer. Just kind of bury her face in his chest and like put. That was too much for Raph to handle.
Carmen was like, skitter away, skitter away.
Yeah.
Carmen just disappears from existence in this moment. Incredible timing, Raph.
Incredible. Absolutely. They'll be back eventually.
I can see them,
Oh,
but the others cannot.
no, they're not showing up for me.
It's no,
Or
I do
on
not
the
see. I do
stream.
not see the Rav.
Raph, can you refresh?
Stream's haunted. Wouldn't be an
Stream-
LFTA stream
Stream's haunted.
It's
if it were
true.
not haunted.
Haunting.
Oh, wait, I think. Yes.
Just like the
Yeah,
movie.
there we go.
Yay!
Yay!
Sorry, my computer
You're
likes to
back.
censor me sometimes.
You're good. I understand you were going through it. If you needed to take a second and just like close the window, that's okay. I'll just save that.
Need some moment to think. Anyway.
Yeah, so Abigail like throws herself at Carmen, puts her arms around him, kind of buries her face in his chest. She's sobbing, a little distraught because of just everything. So much.
Interesting. Okay, I think Carmen is extremely taken aback. He just kind of like he catches her and just like almost instinctively, but also kind of looks around like what is happening. And I think he just kind of like pats her and is like, you seem distraught. I was not expecting.
Oh no.
No, not like this.
Not like this. Not in this beautiful moment.
Such a beautiful
Stream is
moment.
killing the shit, man.
It's true. There's never going to be an
stream
Abigail
gets
Carmen
it.
playlist at this point.
Alas.
Carbigail.
Alas.
Oh no,
Carbigail?
Carmichael,
Carbigail.
we love to see it. We do not love to see Raph disappearing.
We don't. We don't. Yeah. Hey.
I miss them.
Maybe.
Me too.
Maybe.
Thinking about it.
Maybe.
No.
Oh no.
For your consideration.
God, what is happening?
Wrath.
Prayer circle, please, everybody. Put their energy into this prayer circle.
Yeah, we need a spirit bomb. Hey.
You are back.
Yay!
Nope.
No,
Nope.
For a
I
second.
can't see them.
Immediately
Oh.
collapsed again.
Yeah, they were back and then they collapsed again immediately. Oh no.
It's,
Oh no.
it's so over.
Do they need to like just
I was
close the
gonna say, do
browser
we-
and then reopen the browser?
Do we want to take a moment, see if they're able to come back and we can
Yeah,
get
we
things
can
steady?
do that.
Nope. Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
we can see if this one.
I don't know what's happening.
I don't either.
I don't understand.
I noticed your connection was red a little bit earlier. It's pretty stable right now. But I feel like
This
you haven't
stream
had.
is against any Carmen Abigail, clearly.
It doesn't.
Yeah,
Clearly.
This is
Yeah.
a crime
It's an
against.
strictly
anti-
prohibited.
Yeah,
This is a
we
crime
would
against
Yeah.
never
God
should war
and man.
happening.
Yeah, Video Ninja's protecting us.
Okay.
Okay, I'll try to be quick. My apologies, Video Ninja. So yeah, I think he is not necessarily trying to comfort Abigail, but definitely at least like playing the part because he doesn't know what else to do, like even with his hands, or like he's not gonna like push a lady off in front of all of these people.
So Carmen,
Okay.
I have a thought.
Right, yes, okay.
So Carmen, you are feeling a bit panicked, like a bit flustered. You don't know what to do. You're not expecting this from Abigail.
I don't really appreciate it.
But suddenly, your hands and arms seem to know what to do.
Yeah, they do.
They wrap around Abigail. You lightly rub her back. And you feel the hunger start to reach out to her. And then you feel the hunger recoil.
Interesting. Probably a good thing. I think Carmen was probably like mid-sentence when he felt the hunger start to grow and becomes a little bit more panicked because we're in such a very public place and around so many very important people that when it doesn't happen and it recoils instead, I think at that point he does instinctively kind of like push her off a little bit. Maybe not completely shove, but like just like peels her off and just like kind of holds her there. And I think he just kind of wants to like look her in the eyes and study her, if that's something I can do. I think originally he wanted to know if the reason he came over was to see if the tears were real or just like crocodile tears, which they seemed to be. But now I think he wants to see if he can use his hunger as almost like a metal detector, and finding out like what is wrong here.
Would
Like,
you like to
why
gaze
can't
into the
I? Like,
abyss?
I don't want.
I would
Yes,
like you
okay.
to. I would like you to gaze
Okay,
into the abyss.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Roll with dark.
Also, one of my moves does trigger when I gaze into the abyss. So
I'm sure that's fine.
That's fine. I need to read it again and remember what it is.
I'm sure it's fine.
I'm just not gonna worry about it actually. Actually, what are my stats? Hold on. Let me pull up my sheet. You said dark?
Yep.
Okay. That is a 7.
Cool.
It's not a fail.
Reminding myself of what your moves are. Interesting. All right.
I can send it to you as well if you need it.
Interesting. Okay. So with that, your question to the abyss. Just repeat that for me really quick, Carmen.
I wanted to use the hunger as kind of like a metal detector to see what is going on underneath beyond the like emotional display. And I guess I want to understand why I can't I guess for lack of a better word, eat Abigail.
That was a sentence, Ref. That was a sentence.
Like, I don't think that's ever happened before.
That has never happened before. In fact, I can categorically say that has never happened.
She's not like the other girls.
She's not.
Clearly.
Okay. Interesting. So what you see as you lean into the hunger and let the hunger in this way take control. First of all, Raf, would you like to describe what happens to Carmen's eyes when they lean into the hunger and what Abigail sees?
Yeah. So I think Carmen would try to keep it as discreet as possible since he's not like actually feeding, but what Abigail sees as he kind of locks eyes with her and is holding onto her shoulders. I think one of his hands moves over and almost like gently cups her face. And his green eye, you see from the center of the pupil, starts to almost like ink spread out until his entire eye is black. It's like a swirling black abyss, if kind of. And he seems like there is no emotion other than just a pinpoint focus that you can, it's almost like tangible. This like you can hold it almost, this like focus on you. Yeah.
And as you get lost in your hunger, Carmen, it's like stepping into a black pool, and it is one that you're used to. You've had this feeling before. Usually you're right near the surface. You know what is happening when the hunger takes hold, and you can even sometimes intervene if you choose to. But then there are the times that have happened recently where you've gone deeper in the water, where there's been a complete disconnection from your body, as though you're suspended endlessly in a void. And that is where you find yourself now.
Shit.
And you start to see images. They are unclear, they are quick. But you see a young girl, ostensibly, from what you can tell, a younger Abigail Donatelli, maybe around 3 or 4 years old. And then you see a hand reaching down to her, resting on the top of her head, and a voice that you may recognize as belonging to Abraham Donatelli say, "She will do." And then after a pause, "I suppose I will call you Abigail." And then you see the image of fire all around you. And in that moment, you are actually yanked out of that image that you just had of the younger version of Abigail. You are seeing something that in this moment is confusing because you are seeing yourself and you are seeing a figure dressed in all black put their sword directly through your chest. And you are hearing yourself screaming, but it's not you. It's your brother watching as you are cut down in front of him. And before that image fades, Carmen, you smell something through your brother's senses. And you realize what it was that connected that image of Abigail to this memory. And that is the smell of sulfur.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Will, you are muted.
Before we get into that, can I roll for the thing to happen?
You can.
Cool.
Please do.
I believe that is a 10.
Okay.
I'm rolling with hot, correct?
Yep.
Cool. That is a 10.
Yep. I'm going to have a question for you in the chat, but I'm going to let this part continue in the middle of that.
Okay.
um I think when Carmen is yanked back, I guess, to his senses, if he is,
He is.
I think his grip, his hand slides back to Abigail's shoulders, and his grip like tightens. And he's still looking at her, his green eye back to normal. And he says, "You are not who I thought you were. And your father. This is not the place, but we need to speak."
I think she drops the facade a little bit and bats her eyelashes at Carmen and says, Lord Deloso, if you wanted a taste, all you had to do was ask.
And it is in that moment, Rhiannon, that Noelle gasps and says, Lady Carewood,
Yes.
I'm sorry, but look at what is happening with Miss Donatelli and Mr. Deloso.
If you will excuse me, this is not. We don't need to. She's just gonna go over.
Oh, I don't think we should interrupt them.
Really? Because we're at a funeral, and the last thing I would want was to get this more complicated by people being disrespectful, and one of them is a good friend of mine.
Abigail is so flattered that you think you're good friends.
Oh, I was talking about Carmen, not Abigail.
And
So one of them.
and Noelle follows behind you as you go over.
Oh, Abigail, you looked so overcome. Do you need some refreshment? You look nearly on the verge of collapse.
I think as soon as Carmen hears Rhiannon's voice, he like immediately releases Abigail and just is like looking over at Rhiannon, but like still dead set focus.
It's so much.
It is
Rhiannon.
a lot.
Seeing the prince like that,
It's very distressing, yes. Perhaps somewhere where they're serving refreshments, someplace cool to sit at and just take a moment. It
I
is a
think that
lot.
would be best. And Carmen was just telling me that we needed to talk about something, so perhaps somewhere more discreet.
Of course, there's plenty of places around the manor. I've been here before. I can point you to some if you need them. But maybe Miss Frostpin would be a better guide for that.
And Octavia, you hear your name spoken.
She doesn't seem to be doing well herself.
Yeah, with that sort of burst of energy, she had sort of let all the frost go, but someone says her name and she's immediately like her arms are frosted all the way back up, as though she were a cat and her fur had bristled. Before she turns to Helix and then turns to these three, and then back to Helix. Will you be okay if I go see what those individuals need?
I will be fine, Lady Frostpin. take care of yourself. I will not be further than a call away.
I appreciate that. And she will nod to Helix and meander her way over to the three of them. Is
Rhiannon
there
will.
something?
Rhiannon's going to curtsy to her and just let her speak first, obviously.
She nods back and acknowledges the curtsy. Is there something I can help the three of you with?
Well, Miss Abigail was very overcome with emotion, as I'm sure you would understand a modicum of, given that yours is so much more, your grief is so much more intense than hers. I was offering to get her some refreshment and escort her somewhere private, and I'm familiar with the place. You might be more familiar with where we're allowed to go at this time, and you look like you could do with some quiet as well. So
Rhiannon,
should we?
grief is not a competition.
I'm not making it a competition, Abigail.
Lady Frostpin, we have not had the pleasure of meeting. I'm so sorry for your loss.
Right. Well, nothing to be done now. It's all in the hands of Queen and King. And
I'm
their
sure
bot.
they will find whoever did this.
And deal with them properly.
Yes. Somewhere private. The off of the foyer has a small, cozy den that we can use. I'm afraid I cannot be of help serving refreshments. They just seem to keep freezing.
May I get you anything in that case?
I don't need anything, thank you.
Of course.
Perhaps we could all retire there and spend some time away from the crowds. And I imagine, Lady Frostpin, this must be very overwhelming for you.
I suppose we should.
And so the four of you are able to make your way inside. I believe each of you would notice that I was going to say everyone with you, but no, not everyone with you. Your parents, certainly for those whose parents attended with them, as well as Helix, all seem to retire into a different space. So you are effectively left mostly unchaperoned. Noelle is still there, so Noelle is still present, but
Cool.
all adults involved in your lives have stepped away in this moment for what seems to be a private meeting.
Quick question, quick point of order. Is Emery an adult in this situation?
Emery is not an adult in this situation. So, in
Okay.
fact, Emery, Prince Xavier, as he is currently mask presenting, is
Sure.
also around. They are, interestingly, though, the only other two people in your age range that are here. Everyone else has left. They were not invited to stay.
I don't like that.
I don't like that either.
Oh no, we're suspect.
Emery's in my court. I'm good. I know that one.
Do you?
I'm also good with it. Emery is also in my court, in a way.
That is a way of putting it.
True.
Mhm.
I guess as we find a place to settle down, I turn to everyone and say, Lady Frostpin, you said you weren't thirsty, but the other two, may I get you something to drink?
As I am not a lady, I think I will accompany you and maybe help you carry the refreshments back. Seems only
All
fitting.
right. As I'm not a lord, I suppose I can't stop you.
I always forget your mannerisms are so lordly.
You know, my father would be very proud of if he heard that. He always tries to play above the station. Uh, Lady Carewood.
Water is fine, thank you.
Lady Frostpin, you sure you don't want anything?
If I got anything, it would not be drinkable. So, go ahead.
Understood.
Do not worry
I
about
am
me.
hardly a scientist, milady, but I think the freezing point of alcohol is quite a bit different.
Yes, normally it would not be an issue, but today seems to be special.
Understood. Understood. I thought perhaps a little something to calm your nerves, but I understand. Mr. Delos, so shall we?
I suppose we shall.
Abigail will offer Carmen her arm.
I think he like pretends he doesn't see it and just kind of walks forward.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And I think before we follow the two of you, we stay with Rhiannon and Octavia, who are left alone together for the first time ever.
Octavia's making an active effort not to look at Rhiannon.
Rhiannon is keeping a respectful distance because she's reading the vibes, and they're, yeah, this is not good. She'll just kind of, I am sorry if I pulled you away from something you did not want to leave. I merely, I suppose I wasn't thinking as I should have been. I apologize for that.
Don't
And
apologize. What was there to stay? To they're
I am,
escorting him home.
yes. And I am very sorry for your loss.
I am sure that you are.
I know there is a tension that I am the cause of with regards to our families, but I did not wish for something like this to befall the prince, and he did not deserve to be treated in such a way. I don't expect that to change how things stand with our families, but my sympathy is sincere.
How King and Queen Laszlo and Guinevere feel about you is their own choice. Though I would say to call it a tension might be a bit of an understatement.
That is very fair.
Lady Rhiannon, I do not care to be entirely unpleasant towards you. My cousin asked me before all of this if I might be there for you this season. However, given that he is no longer with us, I don't think I can do that.
Of course, I respect that decision of yours. I would not presume to ask for that from you. And If you should have any need of me, you have but to write. Otherwise, I will keep a respectful distance and honor your decision.
Words cross Octavia's face, but she opts not to say them in this moment, uh, simply turning to release another very frosty breath as she continues to try to keep everything else down.
If you prefer, I will wait in the hall until the others return.
No, that's quite all right.
All right.
So we are certainly frosty over there.
So cold.
How are the other two of you doing as you go to obtain some refreshments? Will, you are muted.
So
Yes.
hot is what I said.
So hot.
It's steamy,
Yes.
yeah.
Opposite
Steamy.
of this room.
Yeah. I imagine that they are getting beverages, and I think Abigail is going to immediately find like the bar cart and not get anything for Octavia, obviously, as per their wishes, but will leave Rhiannon's water to Carmen and get herself something expensive, and probably whiskey if they have it, and then she will look inquisitively at Carmen, kind of sizing him up. Say, gin? I'm getting gin, maybe.
Armin pours Rhiannon's water and just kind of puts it to the side and says, whatever, just whatever's strongest.
She'll get 2 whiskeys, and she'll hand one to Carmen, and she'll say, "You said
He
you
downs it before they can even cheers and says, hold on, pours himself another. And then
said you wanted to speak."
Yes. You know things. Let me start again. My brother and I, as you know, were brutally torn apart at the finale of last year's season. The search, any sort of potential clue has been abandoned for a while. Too much scandal, too much draw on a family that doesn't need an excuse to draw the ire of the Ton. Bandits, vengeance, it doesn't quite matter. At the end of the day, my brother and I were killed. I have not stopped the investigation, as you should, whatever you'd like to call it. And it seems, and I think he like downs the drink again and puts it down, just an empty glass, and says, it seems as though your past is somehow connected to mine. I would like to know what you know. I know you are not a lady, but a woman of costs transactions. So what is it that I can offer you for this information?
I think first I want to know, JD, do I know anything? Or do you want me to roll? To see if I know anything.
Feral.
Interesting. I think I'm going to have you roll with dark.
Gaze into the abyss.
Gaze into the abyss.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that's not good.
No.
Yeah, I was afraid of that. I fail. I got a 4.
No.
But I get to mark XP.
I was going to
Yay!
say we
Team
do
get to mark
fail upwards.
experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Upwards.
We love that, Pivota.
Cool. So lay it on me.
So I think what happens. Why would you use those words, Will? We established what they mean. So with this, I think it actually makes a lot of sense that you fail because you are. There is something in Carmen's voice that, and something you saw in his eyes that has left you unsettled, which is why you gaze into the abyss rather than just lean into the facts that you know. I mean, you know presumably who your father is, you know what he does, you know all of those elements that would tie into hell. You do not know for certain what could be connecting your past to his murder. And so, as soon as you try to gaze in and look back, you see nothing but darkness. But it's not a normal darkness, it is darkness like a hole where memory should be. Because, not that you know this, of course, but Carmen saw you as a child of an age where memories would still be present. But there is nothing there that you can cling to. And you feel that absence. You feel that disconnect of this is something I should be able to find, but you can't.
There is. And I think Abigail is visibly kind of shaken a little bit as she ponders this, as she thinks back on it. And I think like the harder she concentrates, the more the glass of whiskey in her hand like rattles around in the cup. And she finally the tremors settle, and she looks up at Carmen again and says, I normally, perhaps, yes, I am someone who likes to exchange favors for the things that I know. In this case, I think you owe me nothing because I know nothing, and I feel as though I should. I feel that there should be something there, but it's not.
Your father. Hmm. Abraham.
She single or what's his deal?
Does he like getting pegged?
Yeah.
Um, Perhaps instead we can make a deal. I may not require information about you, but perhaps about him.
That's a very different subject for Abigail. So I think she is going to, her demeanor is going to change once again, and she's going to take a couple steps closer to Carmen. Her walk is going to change a little bit, become a little bit more predatory. And I think she's going to reach out to put a hand over on his chest and is going to say, "You talk so much about favors when we could find some arrangement in the name of friendship." I would like to roll to turn Carmen on.
I was about to ask. Please do.
Okay.
That's an 11.
Jesus.
That's
All
my good.
right.
That's my good stat.
So you have a string now on Carmen,
Oh my
and
God.
Carmen, you get to choose one of the reactions below. I give myself to you. I promise something I think you want. Or I get embarrassed and act awkward.
I think I'm gonna do that. I promise something I think you want.
I think that is a very good one.
Still
Oh, no.
somewhat hopeful, I suppose.
What are you going to promise, Miss Abigail Donatelli?
I think he kind of smiles to her and says, how do I want to say this? He says, for someone who knows so much about everyone else, you seem to lack some information about yourself.
Hey, Carmen.
Oh no.
As this is happening, as Abigail steps closer and puts her hand on your chest, and you find yourself transfixed by her eyes. You feel the hunger surge and take control of you in a way it hasn't until, well, past few weeks, where you are no longer in control of your body and instead watching from a distance
Okay. Scared.
as your hunger stares at Abigail and says, I promise you answers if you promise me contact, and then reaches up to grasp her arm with both hands.
Interesting. Okay. I have a question. Would that exchange prior have counted as what we're calling an intimacy move. Would that have activated my intimacy move?
Yes.
Cool. Then Carmen is part of my gang now and gets the condition one of them. So jot that down, zombie boy.
Alrighty. Jotting it down.
Fine. Everything's fine.
Everything is fine. So that's interesting. Can I tell that this is not actually Carmen?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. You see the same change in the eyes that you saw earlier, and the voice is deeper.
Cool. Then if I am picking up on the threatening vibes, I'm going to try to mandate them if I can, because I don't want them to make contact. I don't know what is happening here.
Yeah. I think in this instance, would you like to shut someone down?
I would. So let's see how that goes. You know what? Fair is fair. I only got a 6.
No.
You are failing upwards.
Yep, I marked it. So I think what happens is just like she has so many times before, Abigail kind of she doesn't move, she doesn't flinch away, she doesn't do anything. She just looks directly at Carmen or whoever this is in Carmen's body reaching out to her, and her voice when she speaks carries this additional weight. Like she is speaking facts into the universe. She is saying something that is immutable and undeniable, and it is going to become true because of that. And obviously, that is not going to happen. But what she says is, I think you will not touch me.
And once again, I think the fact that you fail makes perfect sense because in that moment, Abigail realizes what was just said to her was not a threat because the expression changes and it turns to one of desperation. And the same voice comes through Carmen and says, "You misunderstand. You're the only person I can touch." Your soul is already forfeit.
Oh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay. Uh Interesting. Are they touching me?
They are still touching you. They are still
Cool.
holding on to your arm.
She'll look up and she'll say, Damien?
And the expression on the face is one of absolute relief, of being seen. And he just nods, still puppeting his brother's body, and says, "Yes. Yes."
And I think all of the guile and affectation and everything drops from Abigail's demeanor. And I think she reaches up to touch the side of Carmen's face and says, What have they done to you?
And that is where we are going to call it for tonight's session.
No, we started late.
You can't do this to me.
You
Oh
can't do this
my
to
God.
You can't do this to JT.
If if we get a vote, I will let us go 15 more minutes.
Don't put this on me. Wait a minute.
I'm about to make a poll.
Listen, you can convince me to keep going. You can convince me.
I'd like to play until midnight my time, personally.
Same.
Okay. The people have spoken. I retract that statement. Abigail, you have just said, Damien, what have they done to you? And I think that is the moment, Carmen, where you pull yourself back into your body and find Abigail standing there, staring into your face, touching your cheek.
I think he immediately lets go and pulls back and says, I don't know what you saw, but let us keep it between us. He is in a fragile state.
I will consider it, but who did this?
That's what I would like to find out.
You
And I
just
think you might
woke
have
up
some
like this?
answers. I how this happened, how I came back, doesn't really matter. The cause of it, the reason I am the way that I am, is not because I was resurrected or brought back. It's because we were killed to begin with. If that had not happened, Damien would still be able to be happy, be here, really here. So if you want to know who did this, then why don't you help me?
Abigail's going to nod slowly and then cross her arms over her chest in a unusually vulnerable gesture and say, "Did you know that he can touch me?"
If he can, it can only mean one thing. And do you know why?
I do.
Who did this to you?
My mystery is not so complicated as yours.
It seems our mysteries might be intertwined.
That would be surprising. She'll look towards the room where Octavia and Rhiannon are and she'll say, "We have been gone a long time. I will help you. I want to speak to him again."
I'm sure he would be happy about that. hard being cooped up. All right. But yes, we've been away too long. And I think I think Carmen is going to take some of the glasses and just smash them on the ground. And pick up the water and just kind of loudly say, "Oh, God, I'm so clumsy. I'm so sorry, Abigail. Let's be away before we cause more of a scene." And then just kind of like scurries away with 2 glasses.
Abigail will pour herself another drink and follow after.
And where did the two of them find what level of tension are we at back with Rhiannon and Octavia?
Rhiannon has seated away from Octavia, just by a window, and is just kind of looking out and just doing a bad job at failing to not cry. Not loudly, just quietly, because she's not in a great place, and she feels like she keeps making everything worse. So she's just keeping to herself and looking out the window and just looks like it's for Renard. It's just fine. This is just happening. So she's just keeping quiet and just quietly crying, looking out the window.
And what about Octavia?
Octavia is standing in a corner, fidgeting with her hands, and the corner is almost entirely frost at this point. The room is notably several degrees colder on her side when they walk in. And she's just gazing 1,000-yard stare, doesn't say anything, doesn't seem to acknowledge them when they walk in.
I think Carmen just beelines to Rhiannon, and quietly says, "Sorry, we took so long. My apologies.
Oh, it's
I
fine.
bumped into the bar cart. There's a bunch of glass over there. I wouldn't really consider
It's
going over
fine.
there.
Please don't worry about it. It's fine."
Also, I think you probably need this more than I." And I think he just kind of like swaps their drinks and just hands her the whiskey. It's like, I'll stick with this instead.
It's been a time, why not? And she just lifts her veil and just throws it back because fuck it.
By the same token, while
Wipes her
that's going on,
face.
if Abigail sees Carmen going to Rhiannon, Abigail will instead move to Octavia and take a seat near her, near them, and sip from the glass and say, "This sort of thing always happens when you are upset," gesturing to the frost.
Not just upset, moments of intense emotion, including but not limited to anger, joy, and confusion, embarrassment, pretty much anything I can feel.
So interesting. Sort of the exact opposite of what a poet would say, isn't it?
I beg
So
your pardon?
many poems about the frozen heart, and you don't feel anything, but you feel so much, and this is the result.
Well, Winter Court is different from standard mortal idioms, you call them?
Some people, mostly Carmen. Trying to elicit a chuckle. I don't know if it works.
No, she looks almost more confused by that than.
Incredible.
Fair. Fair.
Love her.
Is there something you normally do to put yourself at ease? Or someone else does?
No, Helix and I have exercises, but today is we call them extenuating circumstances. When I get like this, um, it's been a while.
I understand.
Yeah, no, last time this happened was when my parents told me that I was going to be going to this alone. Well, not alone with Helix, but like I would have to do everything by myself, pretty much. And well, now I almost did something by myself, and my cousin is dead. So,
But you are not alone. Season
sh-
is just beginning, but now you know me, you know the Lady Carewood, you know Mr. Deloso, for all their many faults. They are
uh, the mention of Lady Carewood, the Frost does just kind of inch.
Brandon just tenses up, doesn't look over, but she just knows that was about her.
I was going to have my cousin to look forward to coming to these events. My only friend in the whole world. And he's gone.
poor substitute Lady Frostpen, I acknowledge, but perhaps we could be friends.
Um, I don't know if I'm in a place to be making friends right now. While I appreciate the gesture, um, I do have a friend, I guess. Um, they're just they're not here right now. Palace business, I imagine. You seem lovely, and uh, Carmen seems fine as well.
You don't have to say that.
I'm literally right here.
Yes, I know.
I think I'm gonna take a walk. Um, you three had something you wanted to talk about. This is the place to do it. Um, I'm gonna go see the gardens.
And before you step out, actually, Octavia, Rhiannon, you are sitting by the window
It's Carmen now. Yeah.
with Carmen. And so Carmen may hear some of this, though it wouldn't strike him in the same way that it does you. Because you hear the voice of two figures talking. And one of them is familiar. You've only heard their voice. You've never seen their face. And out of the window, you see Emery and Helix standing together, talking furtively. And you hear Helix ask them, "Why weren't you with him that night? That was your job. That was your responsibility."
I'm the
And
problem.
you are the problem. That is true, Abigail. You are the problem. And Emery sounds a bit panicked and says, "I know. I lost him in the crowd. I couldn't find him afterwards. And Helix says, I can only protect you for so long, Emery. Soon all of this is going to come out. And that is where we are going to stop for
I'm gonna make a new poll. I'm gonna make a new
You
poll. I'm gonna
actually,
make a new
another
poll.
actually, you can't do that to me.
You can't do that to JT.
I'm sorry.
Wait a
With
minute.
Carmen,
I'm a
now it has to
monster.
wait 2 weeks.
We had a
Wow,
good
what a
time,
ride.
didn't we, friends?
Did.
We've had a time,
We've had a
And
time.
and it's been good.
I am always glad to hear you say
Oh my
that.
god. Emery, what the fuck did you not do?
It's
Boy.
fine.
Boy, oh boy.
Is
I wonder
All
if I'll
right.
be. I wonder if
And I
I'll be
got
held
a
responsible
face.
for my actions.
Grammys are coming at some point.
Rammies, Will.
Grammys,
You're not
like,
thinking about the
Cisco's-
Rammies.
The
The Rammies
Forgot
started
about the
tonight.
Rammies.
As everybody read letters, I was like, Rammies are starting.
Rammies are starting.
You didn't fuck me over yet, so now I gotta wait for that too.
That's my job now.
No, JD has 2 things on me that he can fuck with me with. So that's
I mean,
fine.
you made choices. You
I
made
did.
choices. I just
And
told
one
you there
choice
would be.
broke up with me.
Yep.
So now I get consequences with nothing else. Maybe it'll help in the future. Who knows?
And
Might be
now,
ironic.
I own your other choice's ass.
You know what? If you want to go, we can go, Abigail. We can go.
Didn't say
You'll
I want him.
probably
I just said
win.
I own him.
Listen, do you
Well,
own
then
me
give
or do
him
you
to
own
me.
Damien?
Oh,
That's a valid question, I guess. That I don't
That
know
is
the
a
answer
valid
to.
question.
is that thread for Carmen or Damien?
I put
There,
down Carmen, but the real question is who has the condition. One of them.
That's true.
That's the game.
Ooh.
I think you have the thread on Carmen, and I think Damien has the condition.
Interesting.
Fascinating.
Oh, look,
That's
we're
what I
Couldn't be
sharing.
any better, honestly. Damien is a menace, so
Oh, we're sharing. That's cute.
Sharing is caring. That is the name of
Mhm.
this game.
New throuple. What?
Yeah, no.
Playlist? Wait,
Whoa.
4? It's complicated.
Yeah, you
It
can have
knows.
them. You can have them like Monday,
Get that playlist
Wednesday,
going.
Friday,
Friday.
and then, like I'll have
Wednesday,
them.
Thursday.
Yeah,
Cool.
weekends.
Incredible. All right. You all were fantastic. The chat was fantastic for the parts I got to see. Donations, as always, were fantastic. But everyone, go around and remind everyone all of the other cool things that you are doing
Oh my
and other
God.
amazing things that you're involved in.
Your share boyfriend. Incredible.
Oh, it's me. Cool. Thanks for the warning.
Sorry.
Hi,
I
I'm
love you.
Stephanie. I love you too. I'm Stephanie. I've been Rhiannon. Tonight, you can find me under the handle Lavenza and lurking in the Live from the Apocalypse Discord and occasionally in the Guild Superior Discord as well. I've got a few upcoming games on both channels, so look out for them.
You know what? You can just say at least the ones I have responsibility for.
Okay. JD will be running a very cool game that he made called Redacted in the future, and I will be one of the players in that. So if you're curious as to what very cool psychological horror he made, you'll have to come and check that out.
All right, William, that brings us to you.
Oh, that is me.
Yep.
Hi, hello. Hi, my name is Will. I'm one of the storytellers and the organizers here at Live from the Apocalypse, and I do a lot of things. There's a social media handle you can follow down there. I don't think I have any non-LFTA stuff that I have to talk about. No, that's not true. I do.
I was going to say, I was going to call you out on that if you didn't bring it up.
Yeah. Tomorrow, you can catch me around noon over on Girls Run These Worlds. We're restarting the second half of the Kids on Brooms game that I am a part of over there, which is going to be a lot of fun. I play Jonah, who is a very sad boy at a magic school that he does not want to be at. And some very sad things were learned about Jonah last time, but you'll have to check it out tomorrow if you want to know more details. Sunday night, we have Academy H, but it is our interlude story. It is the second and last half of our interlude story, Falling Stars. named for the burned super spy members of the Super Tactical Assault Regiment, who are varying degrees of horrifying and terrifying and heartbreaking, all of them. So check that out Sunday night, where we will be recording that. There'll be a new episode of Academy H out as well on Sunday. It is the therapy episode. It's been a long time coming. We finally give these kids some therapy. So check that out. And if you haven't listened to episode 21, the episode that made us stop and say, oh, fuck, we should give these kids some therapy, go listen to it. It's a good time. It's a very good episode. And I think that's most of the things. Tuesday, we'll be back. Actually, no, we're not doing missing numbers this week. We're taking a week off from missing numbers. There is no Wednesday game. So I'm not going to plug the thing on Friday. I'm going to let somebody else do that. But there will be another season of Secrets and Shadows. I think that's the thing. Is that what you're going to call me out on, JD?
Maybe. I think,
Okay.
I think it was just the Kids on Brooms.
Yeah. That's tomorrow. So check that out. That'll be a good time. Girls Run These Worlds. That's all I got going on, I think.
All right, JT.
Me. What's up? I'm JT. Some people call me Jeet sometimes. You can find me on Twitter at WeebJeet. I'm not very many places this month, but this Sunday, the Lost Caravan is doing the 4th session of their Nova Mini campaign that I and our lovely storyteller here, JD, are a part of, where we will be dealing with the Rammies that we forgot about. And then the only other major project I'm working on is a long-term campaign by my friend Adam called Chronicles of Reander, that we will hopefully be debuting either by the end of this month or in May after the college school year's over. The Twitch cards are looking really cool. I'm very excited about them. But otherwise, I'll see you back here in 2 weeks, and also probably in the chat next Friday.
Hell yeah.
No, I'm doing Lancer on Friday because it's my off week here. Playing just a little guy. But that's all. That
doesn't seem to line up with Lancer. I'm just saying, JT. That seems the opposite of Lancer.
It's Tater.
Hello.
Hi, buddy.
Sweet
He finally
face.
decided enough was enough.
Tater.
He's tired of being
This is the
patient.
last thing I have to plug. It's my cat. Look at him.
That is very good.
Oh my goodness. He's so
Now that's a little guy.
That is a little guy.
He's so big. He's so big. He's bigger than the average cat.
We love him.
Oh, Tater.
He's going to bite me.
Oh my god.
Gripping.
He's gripping. He said, "You're
Incredible.
done."
You want it
It's
up?
like it's tater time.
You want it
Tater
up
time.
here?
I can't click away.
I know.
It's just a buddy. Well, this is us for the next hour, I guess.
I
I
know.
was going to say, I'm so sweaty. We have to move on.
I feel
It's
so,
really
so
hot.
sweaty.
All right,
Hello.
Raph.
Hello, I'm Raph. And tonight I played Carmen. Surprise, surprise, everyone. Also, I'm being threatened on Discord by Alex saying that I need to unredact the rest of the letter, which maybe I will.
Redacted words.
Anyway, what else?
No.
Oh
Tater!
my God. Tater top, please.
Tater got the camera. Tater got the camera.
Tater got the cam.
No one can
Incredible.
see it.
Amazing.
R.I.P.
Violent.
Anyway, what else? Sunday, I'll be listening and catching up with Academy H. So should you, because if you're not listening and or watching it, and or both, like, genuinely, what are you doing with your life? That's so sad. And then where else can you catch me? In 2 weeks, I'll be back here. But then before that, on Tuesday, I'll be in class reunion with a couple of these folks here, playing my good sausage boy. And then
No.
in the future,
Crazy.
as Steph already mentioned, JD is planning a game, and I will also be in it. Spooky, yeah. Spooky surprises all around. And I think that's it. That might be a lie. I don't know.
I think there's one thing, but Will didn't mention it, so I don't think you have to either.
Okay.
We dropped Cold Iron the last time.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about
that's
it.
right. We did.
Yeah.
I'm also in that. What's up?
Oh, you're all
Yeah.
over the
Okay.
place. Sorry, you keep talking if you want.
No, that was it. I had nothing else to say.
Okay.
I was done.
And I can go quickly because pretty much everyone else has already plugged the things that I need to plug. So yes, I am usually here not in the GM seat. I am usually playing. So you can find me in Class Reunion with Hunter, who has questionable romantic taste. It's fine. We love them and they love Max. So that is where things are at. You can also find me in Academy H, where I will not be playing my usual sad boy who needed extra therapy compared to everyone else because he's got problems. So I will not be playing Casimir this Sunday. I will instead be playing Watcher. And given that I will be coming from Nova, we will get to see if I die twice in the same day. I think it's going to be a good time as I do like 9 solid hours of gaming. It's fine. Speaking of like 9 solid hours of gaming, the other thing you can catch me in, which is starting next week, is Thy Kingdom Come, which will be premiering on LFTA on Friday afternoons. And you will therefore find me in that game as a player, and then you will find me with Table 2 for a season of Secrets and Shadows, GMing almost immediately afterwards. So it is going to be good.
Yeah.
I am probably going to be fried, but it is going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, I think that is it for the next week at least. May definitely gets a lot more wild. All right, cast, you have been amazing. I think this is where we get to call it a night and say goodbye to all of the lovely folks who stayed up a little bit late to continue watching us.
We appreciate you.
Love you. Thank you.
Do.
This is fun.
All right, everyone.
All right. Well, we are going to disappear in just a second. Follow the social media accounts that are in the chat. Join the Discord if you want to. It's a great place. There are lots of great people there. We'd love to have you. And we're going to disappear in just a second. We're going to hop over to Bad House RPG, who are playing Vampire the Masquerade. And we'll say hi there. There are 2 raid messages in the chat. If you happen to be subscribed, you can copy paste the first one. If not, you can grab the second one with the little raccoon boys. And follow us over there and say hi and be friendly and all that good stuff. But I think from all of us here at LFTA, say good night, everybody.
Good night,
everybody.
everybody.
Good night, everybody.